On July 5, 2025, the tranquil heart of South Central Texas is shattered by a disaster of historic proportions. In the dead of night, a relentless wall of water surges through Kerr County, catching thousands off guard and transforming familiar streets into raging rivers. What began as a typical summer evening quickly spirals into chaos as residents scramble to higher ground and emergency sirens pierce the darkness. The Texas Hill Country, known for its rolling hills and peaceful rivers, is suddenly under siege by nature's fury. The Guadalupe River, once a beloved destination for families and adventurers alike, is now unrecognizable. Its gentle currents have been replaced by a torrent of muddy, debris-choked water, tearing through neighborhoods and leaving devastation in its wake. Entire homes are swept from their foundations, cherished memories lost in the deluge. The river's transformation from a place of joy to a force of destruction is both swift and merciless, leaving residents in shock and disbelief. As dawn breaks, the true scale of the tragedy becomes clear. Search and rescue teams, braving treacherous waters and hazardous debris, work tirelessly to reach those stranded by the flood. The official death toll stands at 24, but with entire neighborhoods still inaccessible, authorities fear that number may climb. Each hour brings new discoveries, some hopeful, others heartbreaking, as the community grapples with the enormity of the disaster. Among the most urgent and heartrending efforts is the search for more than 20 young girls who vanished from a local summer camp as the floodwaters rose. The camp, once filled with laughter and the sounds of summer, is now eerily silent, its cabins surrounded by water. Rescue workers, many of them parents themselves, comb the area with unwavering determination, refusing to give up hope even as the hours stretch on. At evacuation centers across the region, families wait in agonizing uncertainty. Parents cling to each other, their faces etched with worry, as they await any word about their missing children. The community, and indeed the entire nation, watches with bated breath, united in concern and hope for the safe return of those still unaccounted for. The outpouring of support is immediate. Strangers offer comfort, volunteers bring food and blankets, and prayers are whispered for miracles. The aftermath of the flood presents new challenges. Roads are submerged or washed away, making travel nearly impossible and leaving entire neighborhoods cut off from help. Power lines are down, communication is sporadic, and the region's infrastructure is battered. For many, the path to recovery seems daunting, with homes destroyed and livelihoods swept away in a matter of hours. Yet, even in the face of overwhelming loss, the people of Kerr County show remarkable resilience. Neighbors reach out to one another, offering shelter, food, and a shoulder to lean on. Volunteers from across Texas arrive to lend a hand, and local leaders vow to rebuild, no matter how long it takes. The community's spirit, though tested, remains unbroken. Today, as the world watches and waits, we stand in solidarity with Kerr County. We hold on to hope for the missing, offer strength to the grieving, and honor the courage of those who risk everything to save others. In the face of disaster, the bonds of community and compassion shine brighter than ever. The disaster's roots lie in a night of relentless rain, a night that began like any other, but soon transformed into a battle for survival. As dusk settled over the quiet town, the first drops fell, gentle at first, then intensifying into a torrential downpour that seemed to have no end in sight. The sound of rain drumming on rooftops grew deafening, echoing through empty streets and filling the air with a sense of unease. In just a few short hours, up to 12 inches of rain fell, an astonishing amount, nearly a third of the county's yearly average all at once. Streets quickly became rivers, storm drains overflowed, and the ground, already saturated, could absorb no more. Water pooled in yards and crept up doorsteps, while residents watched in disbelief as their familiar surroundings disappeared beneath the rising flood. The Guadalupe River, usually a gentle lifeline for the community, became a force of nature no one could control. Within just 45 minutes, the river surged by an unimaginable 26 feet, transforming from a tranquil waterway into a raging torrent. The water moved with terrifying speed, carrying away everything in its path and turning the landscape into a wall of destruction. Homes that had stood for generations vanished in moments, swept away by the relentless current. Roads and bridges, once vital links between neighbors and towns, were torn apart and submerged, leaving entire communities stranded and isolated. The devastation was swift and absolute, leaving little time for warning or escape. As the floodwaters invaded homes in the dead of night, residents awoke to chaos and confusion. Many scrambled for higher ground, grabbing what they could and fleeing into the darkness, guided only by the sound of rushing water and the instinct to survive. Families huddled on rooftops, waiting for rescue, while others waded through chest-deep water, searching for safety. When the waters finally receded, the landscape was unrecognizable. Debris littered the ground, houses were reduced to splinters, and ancient trees lay uprooted along the river's edge. The scars left behind told a story of loss and upheaval, a community forever changed by the river's wrath. Emergency responders faced a logistical nightmare. With roads washed out and bridges gone, reaching those in need became a race against time. Boats and helicopters became lifelines, as rescue teams navigated treacherous waters and unstable ground to bring help to the stranded and injured. The psychological toll of the disaster is immeasurable. Families returned to find their homes destroyed, their memories washed away. Neighbors comforted each other amid the ruins, struggling to process the enormity of what had happened. For many, the trauma will linger long after the floodwaters are gone, as the river's fury has forever changed the lives of those who call this place home. In less than an hour, a peaceful river became an unstoppable enemy, a reminder of nature's power and of how quickly life can be turned upside down. At Camp Mystic, nestled along the banks of a winding Texas river, generations of girls have come to make memories, forge friendships, and experience the magic of summer. The camp, with its rustic cabins and laughter-filled days, has long been a cherished escape for families across the state. But in the early hours of a stormy morning, that sense of safety was shattered in an instant. The flood struck with terrifying speed, transforming the familiar landscape into a scene of chaos and destruction. Torrential rain had fallen for days, but no one expected the river to rise so quickly, overwhelming the camp's defenses and swallowing buildings whole. What was once a place of joy and laughter became unrecognizable, submerged beneath muddy, churning water. 750 children were on site that morning. As the river burst its banks, counselors and staff rushed from cabin to cabin, waking sleeping campers and urging them to higher ground. Panic and confusion spread as the water surged, and many scrambled desperately for safety, clutching hands and calling out for friends in the darkness. In the aftermath, between 20 and 23 girls were reported missing. Their empty bunks and abandoned belongings told a silent story of fear and uncertainty. The fate of these children remains unknown, fueling a massive rescue operation that has drawn volunteers and emergency crews from across the region. Authorities and volunteers have scoured the flooded forests and tangled undergrowth, hoping that some of the missing may have found refuge on high ground or clung to trees above the swirling waters. But the search is slow and dangerous, with debris and swift currents making every step a challenge. Helicopters circle overhead, while boats pick their way through the debris, searching for any sign of life. The image of young campers lost in the aftermath has become the disaster's most haunting symbol. Muddy shoes, scattered backpacks, and cherished stuffed animals lie abandoned in the debris, silent reminders of the innocents swept away by the flood. For rescue workers, each item recovered is a painful reminder of the lives forever changed. Evacuation efforts continue around the clock, with trucks and emergency vehicles braving treacherous, mud-choked roads to move hundreds of children and staff to safety. Volunteers and first responders work tirelessly, guiding frightened campers to waiting vehicles, offering comfort and reassurance in the midst of chaos. For parents, the wait for news is agonizing. Many have gathered at emergency shelters and community centers, clinging to hope and each other as they await word of their children. What began as a summer of joy has turned into a nightmare, as families pray for reunions and fear the worst. Across the nation, hearts ache for the families of Camp Mystic. Candlelight vigils are held, prayers are whispered, and the American flag flies at half-mast. The nation holds its breath, united in hope, waiting for a miracle to bring the missing girls home. The search for the missing girls is now the emotional epicenter of the crisis, a race against time that grips the nation. The floodwaters conceal hazards and debris, making every rescue attempt perilous. Many missing may be stranded or swept downstream, forcing teams to meticulously search every corner of the inundated region. A massive operation is underway, combining ground teams with round-the-clock helicopter missions. The sound of helicopters overhead is a beacon of hope for those still trapped. Local, state, and federal responders work in unison, driven by the responsibility to bring every missing person home. Exhaustion and emotion run high, but the mission is clear: no one will be left behind. The resolve of the rescue teams is unwavering. The emergency response is monumental. Over 500 personnel from across Texas and beyond are on the ground and in the air. 14 helicopters, including those from the National Guard and Coast Guard, have rescued 237 people, 167 by air alone. On the ground, teams use boats and high-water vehicles to search submerged homes and vehicles risking their own safety. First responders provide immediate aid to survivors, many of whom have lost everything. A central command post coordinates the massive effort, ensuring resources reach those in greatest need. The seamless collaboration between agencies is a testament to professionalism and courage under pressure. In the face of chaos, unity and determination drive the rescue forward. Leaders have responded swiftly. Governor Abbott declared a disaster, pledging every resource to the search and rescue. President Trump has promised federal aid, recognizing the immense burden on local and state agencies. Officials warn this is a mass casualty event, with the region's history of flooding now eclipsed by the speed and surprise of this disaster. The weather threat isn't over. More flooding could strike downstream, prompting urgent evacuation orders. Residents are urged to move to higher ground as the danger continues to unfold. The focus remains on saving lives and preparing for what may come next. For the Texas Hill Country, this flood reopens old wounds. Residents are reeling from loss and shock. The tragedy at Camp Mystic, involving so many children, makes this disaster uniquely heartbreaking. Recent deadly floods in Texas have left communities weary, but this event's speed and scale set it apart. Amid sorrow, the community's resilience shines. Neighbors help neighbors, and volunteers rally to support the displaced. The spirit of unity will be the foundation for recovery, even as scars remain. This disaster can't be separated from the broader context of climate change. Scientists warn that a warming planet brings more frequent, intense storms. This flood fits the pattern. The idea of a 100-year flood is obsolete. Historic events are now alarmingly common. Communities must adapt, rebuilding with resilience and rethinking infrastructure and warning systems. The tragedy on the Guadalupe River is a call to action. Reactive measures are no longer enough. The human cost is a stark reminder that climate change is a crisis demanding urgent attention. The story of Kerr County is a warning for us all. As floodwaters recede, devastation remains, but so does hope. Search and rescue teams work tirelessly, refusing to give up on finding survivors. Every life saved is a victory, a testament to courage and determination. The community's compassion is evident. Neighbors open homes, volunteers offer comfort, and support pours in from across the nation. This unity is as powerful as the floodwaters, forming the bedrock of recovery. Leaders vow to spare no effort until every missing person is found. The coming days will bring more sorrow, but also stories of resilience and strength. The spirit of the Texas Hill Country endures, unbroken in the face of tragedy.